Hi, and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio and tonight's YouTube Live. My name is Lisa Curcio. I'm so glad that you're here with me. I've got a real fun fold for you tonight, and it's getting a lot of buzz because it's using products from the brand new mini catalog that debuted in January. You're going to love this fold. I put some twists on it tonight, and as always, I've got lots of tips to share with you along the way. Now, I've got a couple housekeeping items I want to go over with you. If you would like to chat during tonight's live or read the chat if you're watching the replay, you'll need to log into your YouTube account, which is your Gmail address. That's a YouTube thing, not a Lisa thing. In addition to that, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm going to put a link down below the video title and my name. You're going to have to click the words that say show more. That's going to expand the text so that you can see the link. You're going to have to scroll down. If you click on that link, it'll navigate you over to the pictures and the cutting dimensions and the supplies that I use for tonight's card. Again, that's under the title, underneath Lisa's Stamp Studio name, and then you'll have to click the words show more to expand the text to find the link. I get asked that question a lot, so I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out to you. Now, the last housekeeping item is typically this is where I introduce my assistant, Megan. But Megan has been sick for a few days and she is not able to be with us tonight, and we are going to miss her. She does a fabulous job of interacting with all of you and answering your questions while you're here for the live. But since she's not here, we're going to have to forego that portion tonight. So I need a lot of grace and forgiveness for that and well wishes for Megan. What I'm going to do though is I always come back and watch the replay to read all the live chat as I respond to every single comment. If you have questions that don't get answered during tonight's live, I will come back to the comments right below this video and I will pin all the answers to the top of the comment thread so it's easy for you to find them. Okay, I think we're ready. What do you guys say we get started? I'm going to turn the camera down. Here we go. Give me just a minute to zoom you in and get you all straight. Nothing worse than a crooked camera, right? Okay, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by doing some scoring. And I've got my Stampin' Trimmer here. And for those of you that have not seen this before, very quick overview. Light blade is for scoring, dark blade is for cutting. I love that they navigate up and down out of the way so they're not in the track if you don't need them. The clear surface is protected. You don't have to worry about this rubbing off. There's a great ledge here at the top to make sure everything is straight. And it has an expandable arm, which we're going to use. Now, I'm going to give you some verbal instructions tonight as far as the cutting dimensions, but again, they'll be down below the video description. This is cut 4¼ by 9½. So I want to make sure you understand it's shorter than normal, and that'll all make sense once we get the scoring and this card put together. The very first thing we're going to do is use that light blade for scoring. We're going to score at the 2½-inch mark. So I'm going to line that up right against that ledge here so it's nice and straight. 2½ inches. There's a printed line all the way down because I can't do things straight. So this certainly helps. And with that light blade at 2½, we're going to score. Now I'm going to lift that. And what we're going to do now is we're going to open up this expandable arm and we're going to have to cut. We're going to have to score all the way here at 7¾ So I want to make sure I've got my first score line here. This was at the 2½-inch mark. And now we're going to go over to 7¾ So all the way down on this end here. I'm going to make sure that it's properly aligned. And then again, with my scoring blade, we are going to score. Okay, let me set that off to the side for just a minute. Make a little bit of extra room here for you. That now has left us with this. This is the piece of paper that we have. Now, I know it's going to be difficult to see the score lines, but I'm going to fold those up and I'm going to use my bone folder. Anytime you're doing a fun fold, I highly recommend the bone folder to reinforce those creases. That's going to help your card to hold together a lot better. Now, you're going to notice that there's a wider section at one end and a narrower at the other. And we're going to use this area to do some designer paper series adhesion. So we're going to put that on next. I'm going to bring in my silicone craft sheet for this. And I've got my paper already cut, but I want to share this with you. This paper is stunning. This is from the Golden Honey Designer Series paper. Can you see those gold foil accents? Aren't these beautiful? I don't know about you, but even though you may not like bees, there are images here and all kinds of fun. And look at the other side. Definitely some patterns that you can use all year round for different types of cards. Now, I went ahead and I've cut my designer series paper already ahead of time, but I want to show you where this paper is. It is free as part of the current sale with Stampin' Up. For every $50 that you spend, you can choose a free product, and this one happens to be here in that sale brochure. We'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, but I wanted to give you a sneak peek of those gorgeous papers because I don't think they get enough airtime. My designer series papers are already cut, like I said, and look at that fun honeycomb. Now, this can be used for lots of other things. So think outside the box. These would be great for masculine cards with maybe a garage or a gear type of feel to them. And again, double-sided. I'm going to add adhesive now to the bigger piece. I'm going to work right along my edges. My silicone craft sheet is a beloved accessory here in my stamp studio. It will keep my work surface sticky free because adhesive, liquid glue, and hot glue will not stick to it. It'll rub right off. So here we go. We've got our card here. I'm going to open this up to make it easier for me to make sure I've got good alignment. And I'm going to look to leave a small margin of the white all the way around, and then we'll tack that in place. Now I'm going to work on the bottom section as well. I chose to make my designer series paper panels the same, but of course, you can change this up. The great thing about coordinating designer papers is that you have a front and a back side and other pieces that all match. So if you decide you want a really fun pattern on the top half, the bottom half can certainly be something more solid or with a real fun crosshatch pattern or something else. Even plain cardstock works. All right, so now we've got our card. Now folded, this is just shy of the 5.5 inches because remember it's 4.25 already. So to compensate for that, I decided to play up that gold, and let me show you what I did. I cut a piece of gold foil. Now this is measuring just slightly smaller than the actual card itself, so it's 4 by 5.5. And let me show you what I did. I am going to flip this over, and we're going to add adhesive here. Now I want to give you a very important tip. Don't take the adhesive all the way out to the sides because remember, this is 4.25, this is 4 inches wide because you don't want that to hang over. So I'm going to work here at the top and I'm going to work close to the edge and I'm going to stop and I'll do the same thing down here. And then I'll work some stripes in the center just because I want this to hold in place. Now my adhesive is very, very strong, but if you prefer to use liquid glue, make sure you don't go beyond those perimeters. I'm going to hold those panels shut so I got a better idea of where this is going to go. And I'm going to hover over this the best I can because my head is kind of far away. Yep, doesn't that just figure? I hit it too close. How many times have you guys done that? Yep. And I'm going to center this, looking for a margin at the top and the bottom. You're going to see it doesn't go all the way across, okay? And then I'm going to tack that in place. I'm going to flip from the back and I'm going to rub. All right, so this gives us now that proper placement and fitting for your medium size A2 envelope. So we are now 4.25 by 5.5 because of this gold layer. Now let's go ahead and decorate this. I'm going to be using an image from the stamp set called Honeybee. I want to show this to you. Really, really fun. And this is that stamp set that's getting lots of buzz. That's that play on words we've used here for the title. I'm going to stamp first the beehive that's here. So I'm going to have a piece of Whisper White cardstock here that I'm going to do my stamping on. And I decided to use the crushed curry ink for that. Go ahead and I'll open that up. And I've mounted my image already on my clear block here. Now you're going to see that this is very solid. And sometimes I have a hard time getting a really good crisp image because I have osteoarthritis in my basal joints. And if you have any type of arthritis, you know that that can be very, very painful. So I want to give you a couple tips. The first thing is use a pierce mat underneath your cardstock. That's going to help give a little bit from the bottom up so you don't have to press so hard from the top down. If that helps you, that's a great way to do this. Make sure that your ink pad is sufficiently inked. There's nothing worse than a dry ink pad and then you don't get a good impression. That's also very important. I look to make sure I don't have ink around the circumference of my stamp because obviously that would transfer. And I'm going to stamp that here. So firm, even pressure, outline the stamp to make sure you get a good impression, and then you're going to lift. So there we go. We have that. I'm going to move that right off camera, and I'm going to close this up. And I'm going to switch over now to the little bee image that's inside the stamp set. Now I want to show this to you. This stamp set actually comes with several bee images. So this is the small one we're going to be using, and this is the larger one. But the great thing about this stamp set is it has coordinating dies, and I'll show those to you in just a second. Because I'm going to do just a tad bit of coloring to this little bumblebee, I'm going to stamp him in my Memento black ink pad. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink him up. This is a new ink pad, so it's good and juicy. So I'll stamp one here. And I decided I wanted more than one. Now I'm going to leave room because remember I told you that there is a die. I'm cleaning my stamp just off camera. I'm going to go ahead and close up that ink pad here. And then what I want to show you now are the dies that coordinate with these. I didn't pull this one out because I think it's pretty big. You can see it. This die cuts that beehive. So it's going to leave a perfect die cut image. In addition to the stamps, look at this detailed bee die. This is absolutely beautiful. So there is also a silhouette bee die here for that larger bumblebee. And there's a smaller one for that small bumblebee that's here. Now I'm going to do a little bit of coloring on this before we die cut that. And I'm going to walk you through this. I'm going to use the alcohol-based Stampin' Blends markers. I love these because they provide flawless coverage. Unlike a dye-based marker, when you color with it, and you're not going to be able to appreciate it because that's such a small area, so I'm going to scribble off here to the side. If you were to do this with a dye-based marker, you're actually going to have lines on areas you've repeated. So the coverage is not going to be even. But with an alcohol-based Stampin' Blends marker, you can go back over this and you don't ever have those lines. So I love it because it looks really professional, super easy to use. There's lines here that designate the size of the tip, so you've got choices. And since this is rather small, I'm going to come inside of here and I'm just going to use that fine tip just to add some yellow to those bumblebees. And I did that on both of these. You're going to want to make sure if your ink pad is new like mine, that you're giving it a couple seconds for that ink to evaporate before you use the alcohol markers. You're going to notice too that whenever I'm using my alcohol markers, I'm using the Tuxedo Black Memento ink pad because this is water-based and it will not interact or bleed with the alcohol-based markers. Now I want to give you a tip about the die cutting. There is a bumblebee die that's here. And my best tip for you is, I don't know about you, but I've had this problem happen before. I'm getting ready to die cut and I've got this all lined up and ready to go. And I find that this slips when I go to put it on here. So my favorite trick is one of these little Post-it note flags or tags, or even a Post-it note. I know some people use a washi tape. Make sure you get it positioned how you want it and then anchor it across the image, across the die and press. So that when you put this other clear mat over the top and crank it through your die cutting machine and you disassemble it, you are going to have the most perfect placement for your die every single time. I know that seems really silly, but it works so darn good. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to decorate this card, and I've got some more tips to share with you. So I'm going to push that off to the side. I'm going to move you out just a little bit because I want to make sure that you can see the whole card. The next thing is to attach our bee. Now, our beehive. You can add a dimensional where you want it, but I know I'm doing something special on this card in this open area. So I'm going to need my beehive all the way over. And to ensure that I don't make a mistake, I decided to do my greeting first. So that's another tip for you. If you're not certain what you're going to do inside this area is going to fit, do that portion first. Now, I have a happy accident to report. When I originally designed this card, I actually stamped my greeting inside of here. And it was, well, a little blurry. I wasn't happy with it. So then I decided to stamp it on a panel. So this actually measures, I'm looking at my dimensions, 3/4 of an inch by 4. And you know what's great about this? If I mess this up, I can just get another scrap piece of paper. And I loved the elevation that this is going to provide when we're all finished with this fun fold. So I'm going to flip this upside down and I'm going to be using my dimensionals. These are double-sided pieces of foam tape. They are already pre-cut for you, so you don't have to mess with your scissors. I'm going to place them evenly across the back. Keep in mind, if you're mailing your cards, you want to provide proper balance so that your card doesn't come out all lopsided. I'm going to be using my Take Your Pick tool with the paper piercing tool attachment, and I'm going to lift off those paper backings. I love this because not only does it corral all those small pieces, but it helps me to remove them a lot faster. So I'm going to bring that card in, and with those panels closed now, I am going to align this the best I can. I'm looking to make sure that my greeting on this side here on the left is aligned within that 4-inch margin, centered the best I can in that opening, and then we'll tack that down. This is going to be so neat when it's closed. Wait till you see. The beehive now, I'm actually going to add one dimensional to. I do recommend that you place it here on the card itself versus on the back side of the image, because if the placement isn't right, it will show on the inside of the card. So let me just get an idea of where that's going to go. I want to make sure that the hive isn't outside the perimeter of the card so it'll fit in my envelope. So I'm looking and I'm like, well, that's going to be good right about there. So I'm going to put that down, and then I'm going to remove that paper backing once again. This time, I'm going to make sure that this is aligned again before I go too crazy sticking it down, making sure you can see everything, and then I'll tack that in place once I'm happy. You don't need any more adhesive or dimensionals because that's how the fun fold's going to open. Let's finish decorating this and then we'll go through the motion of this card. These bees are going to get added next. So I'm going to flip those over as well. And these dimensionals fit perfectly on the back. I'm just going to use one on each of them. You can use as many as you'd like. Typically, I like odd numbers, but today I decided that two work well because that beehive is not really big. I wanted to make sure that I didn't over inundate my card. So there we go. We've got our two bees. I'm going to place the first one here on an angle like this. And then I'm going to place this one down here on an angle facing up for a little bit of interest. Now, I'm not done yet because if you've watched my videos, you know how much I love bling. I just love accessories. I think accessories are a great way to play up some color on your card in an inexpensive way. And these gold faceted gems are perfect for this honeycomb designer series paper. Now, they already have glue dots on the back, which make them super easy to use. You can peel them off with your fingers, but I really love to use my paper piercing tool attachment. You're going to see that they come large, medium, and a little bit smaller. So you've got a variation here. I'm going to use one of the medium ones. Again, that glue dot's going to help me pick that up. And I'm going to add that right down here at the bottom, right inside my honeycomb. These faceted gems really add a lot of credence to the shape of that designer series paper. So I'm going to take another one, and this time I'm going to work this one up here near the top inside another honeycomb. And I'm going to add one more because I like to work in odd numbers. I think it's visually interesting. I'm going to place that one down here. Okay, that is how easy this is, but look how this opens. This is going to come up and this is going to come down. Plenty of room to write your greeting or to stamp another sentiment inside. The other thing I love about this, check out the dimension on this card. Isn't this fun? So you've got lots of different layers. I'm going to have lots of pictures for this on my website. Now let me turn the camera around. I want to give you some more information about this. I figure it's a lot easier to look at a face than talking hands, so I want to share this with you. You're going to be able to find that honeybee bundle in the current mini catalog. Now, if you don't already have a demonstrator and you would like to receive a complimentary copy of this mini catalog, as well as the annual catalog, all you have to do is head over to lisastampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. I'll be happy to send you one. And I'll be sure to include that current sale brochure. Now, I've got a little something I want to share with you. Starting tomorrow, which is March 3rd, there are new products being added to the sale. So if you say you already got quite a few of those things, and even that designer series paper, there's a bunch of new stuff coming. And you're going to be really intrigued by the beautiful products that are available for you to choose for free. So I'll make sure I include that with your catalogs if you're interested. Now, if you haven't already subscribed to my YouTube channel, I want to make sure that you, because I'm going to be back live with you again next week. And that's going to be Wednesday, March 11th. And that's at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So set yourself a calendar memory. And if you've subscribed to my channel and you've clicked that little bell icon, you're going to get notification reminders automatically. If you've enjoyed tonight's card, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like. It certainly does help. And the highest compliment you can pay me is by sharing the video with your crafting friends. Finally, I offer exclusive and generous rewards to my customers. The information is over on my website at lisastampstudio.com. Make sure you use the host code. That information is there as well. And if you like more ideas, I've got more for you. Click on the Classes tab on my website, and you'll see a huge array of PDF tutorials for you to immediately download for a very minimal purchase. We have Miss Megan tonight, but give me a few minutes to get the video rendered, and I'll come back and I'll read your questions if they haven't been answered, and I will reply to a pinned comment at the top below. Thank you so much for being here with me. I'm reaching for tonight's card, and I really hope that you have enjoyed this fun fold. I look forward to seeing you next week live and for more videos here on YouTube. Have a great night, everyone. Bye bye.